What do you do if you encounter anxiety or depression as part of your consulting career? We're back with another consultant Q&A. This is from Reddit. The poster says that they experienced depression 6 years ago, and they're starting to see early signs of depressive symptoms again. They think it's because they're not a good fit with their current role, especially when it comes to hours. They'd like to perhaps take a leave of absence or find another job. And they worry that if they quit, their new employer will contact their old employer and the terms of the separation will come out and it'll scuttle their chances at landing their next gig. I wanted to talk about this one because although I've never dealt with long-term depression at work, I have dealt with anxiety, particularly around giving presentations. I might talk about that in another video, but that's something that I've had to work through. So I'm going to cover 3 points today. Number 1, I'm going to talk about burnout. Second, I'm going to talk about mindfulness. And third, I'm going to talk about locus of control. So I would ask the poster, can we self-inspect and ask some questions that will differentiate between the depressive symptoms that you felt before and regular old burnout that as consultants we all experience from time to time. So how many hours are you working now versus what you were working before? What are the quality of those hours? I've been on projects before where we worked well into the evening for weeks at a time in order to make a release, but it was a great team. We were all leaning in to accomplish a shared goal. We joked, we ate dinner together, and it was honestly a great time. And then I've had other projects where I was working the normal 40 to 50 hours a week, but it wasn't a great team, wasn't a great project, and it was just a grind. And I felt very burned out. So you have to determine not only the quantity, but also the quality of the hours. Think about the stresses and the demands on your time outside of work. No matter how hard we try, that's going to bleed in to how we feel about our work. And I'm not going to get into how to deal with burnout, if that's what it is. We'll do a separate video about that. But if this sounds like it might be the case, I would look for other resources on how to address burnout, including the mindset, setting boundaries, all of that. Next, I want to talk about mindfulness. And I want to home in on an element of your question, the part about you're worried that when you go to find another job, they'll find out about your separation and that'll ruin your chances of landing a job. That to me sounds like an anxious thought, right? It's something that is remote, far in the future, may even be illegal depending on where you live. But in your short question that you posted to Reddit, this is something that we brought up, so it's obviously on the forefront of your mind. The resource that I want to refer you to is a book by Danny Penman and Mark Williams. It's called Mindfulness. And there's a specific concept that I thought of from this book. It's the idea that we're in this crazy, chaotic environment that we all live in consulting, and that's the external factors. And then at the end of the process, we have our internal reaction, not only the things we do, but our mindset, the state of our brains. But it's not a cause and effect between the environment and our reaction. There's a filter in between, and that's our mindset. When bad things happen, how are we going to interpret that and react to it? And you might be the kind of person, especially if you dealt with depression and anxiety, where you feel like that filter is very thin, right? That you have very little control over your reactions to the things going on around you. And there are a number of techniques to help with this. I would recommend incorporating meditation into your day-to-day life, even if it's just 15 minutes. For me, that's what's helped. Sitting with my thoughts in a detached state, and that helps me kind of deal with them with less emotion. And as you get practice at it, it's something that you can use in real time as you deal with high stress situations. So your solution may be different, but that's something that's worked for me. The last concept that I want to home in on is the idea of locus of control and how we detach from the things going on around us. I think to succeed in a high stress environment, you generally have to have a pretty high locus of control. What is it? That means that my actions have an effect on the world around me, that I can produce the outcomes that I desire based on my own strength of will and smarts, versus a low locus of control where you say things happen, I can't really do anything about it. So in order to be successful, high locus of control, but we know that there are many situations in our job where we can try our hardest and still the project fails. We don't get the promotion we're looking for. One of our subordinates, we're not getting along with them, right? And so we're going to try and fail a lot in this line of work. So what you have to have is a high locus of control combined with detachment while still caring deeply. Is that weird? That sounds like those things are in tension, but I think that they're essential. You got to go in and you say, I care about this outcome. I believe that I can have an effect on it, but I know in the back of my mind that not everything is always going to turn out well. And when it doesn't turn out well, I'm not going to kill myself over it, right? I tried my best and I can live with that, and then it's on to the next thing. Easier said than done, I know, but something to think about. I appreciate you putting yourself out there and asking these questions, and I hope this was helpful.